What's good, everybody? Joe Nice, live and direct as usual. January 21, 2021, January 21, 2021. 21st day of the month of January of the first year, of the first month of the year. So technically, this is the 21st day of the 21st year of the 21st century. That's right. 21st day of the 21st year of the 21st century. Imagine that. Even when I don't know what's going on, I know what's going on. Yeah, I just wanted to chat with everybody, see how everybody's doing, see how everybody's getting on. I haven't done a check-in with everybody in a while. So if you want to jump in the conversation and jump in the chat, let me know. We'll get you on if you want to talk. But yeah. So I want to see how everyone's doing, see what's up with everybody. I'm still around, still fighting, still doing my workouts, still getting the kettlebell swings in, even though the shoulder's messing up on me a little bit. I'm going to start running again, so that's cool too. But yeah, just wanted to see what your thoughts were on the inauguration yesterday. Got a new president and a new vice president and an entirely new administration. Again, if you want to learn more about Biden's cabinet, go to my Instagram page or go to my YouTube channel, Instagram.com/JoeNiceDJ, YouTube.com/JoeNiceDJ. And you will find a video called Biden and his cabinet, Biden's cabinet and the inauguration. And you can watch an entire video that me and the awesome Cat Wells did yesterday. Actually, it was a couple of days ago. It was Tuesday. A couple of days ago about Joe Biden's cabinet. There's a lot of people in the cabinet that you all need to familiarize yourself with, because these are the people that are going to be in our faces and spaces and places for the next 4 years. So familiarize yourself with these people, know who they are, know what they are about. So when you end up not getting what you want, even though you voted for somebody that said they were going to give you certain things, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised at all. DJ Deep Sound saying, hello, Joe. What's going on, brother? What's good? What it is? What it is? What it do? Steven saying, hi, Joe. What's going on, Steven? What it is, buddy? Tell everybody at the house I said hello. In Minneapolis. Actually, I'm going to say it like Janet Jackson, Escapade. Minneapolis! Because that's how you got to say it. You can't just say Minneapolis. Nah. You got to say it with gusto. Minneapolis! So that's what we're going to do with it. Out to Prince, out to Morris Day and the Time, out to Mint Condition, out to Jelly Bean Johnson, out to Alexander O'Neill, out to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Yeah, real Minneapolis business. That's what we're doing. That's what we're dealing with. Out to Prince's first band, 94 East. Out to the Revolution, out to the new Power Generation. Minneapolis. Minneapolis. Deep Sound saying, trying to position these Sennheisers like Mr. Joe Nice. Or look. That Sennheiser position is crucial and key when you're in the mix. You can't have both cups on your ears at the same time. You have to have one on and one off. But you got to balance it the right way. You just can't have it, you got to have it leaning, but you can't have it all the way up. You know what I'm saying? Lord Laramie saying, hi from Minneapolis. Hello back from North Carolina. Hello. Out to Jay Gray, hanging out in Western Maryland. Where in Western Maryland, brother? Where you at, man? Frostburg State? Hancock, Maryland? Frostburg? How far west are you, bro? Because a lot of people that live in Baltimore think Western Maryland starts and ends at Frederick, which actually isn't true, because Frederick is really more kind of central Maryland, in Frederick County. Man's out in LaVale. Oh, that's far as shit. Oof, LaVale is far. Oh my gosh. Yo, you're basically in West Virginia. You're basically in West Virginia at that point. Deep Sound saying, real talk, hope you're well. Yeah, never been better, brother. Fit as a fiddle. Jay Gray saying some Frostburg. Yeah, that is way out west. Way out west. That's like geez, LaVale, man, from Baltimore, that's got to be what? 3 hours, 3.5 hour drive west? Got to be. I mean, you're already, I mean, the outlets in Frederick from downtown Baltimore are a little more than an hour. Adelord Laramie saying, "Get scary west of Frederick." You already know. You already know. Yeah. Yeah. Once you pass the minor league baseball stadium at exit 54 on I-70, it's the Harry Grove Baseball Stadium where the Frederick Keys, the Double-A affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles, play their baseball. Once you kind of go about maybe another 20 or 30 minutes past that to where the outlets are, which are, oh my gosh, I forget, the Hagerstown outlets. Realistically, once you kind of get past Hagerstown, it starts getting scary. After Hagerstown, then it's like, okay, yo, come on, man. Am I still in Maryland? Or am I in southern Pennsylvania? Or am I in West Virginia? Then once you get past those Hagerstown outlets, it's only a little bit before 70 and 68 split, and you go off to 70 up into southern Pennsylvania. And then you're about another hour and a half or 2 hours away from Pittsburgh at that point. But yeah, man, it's 2.5 hours from Baltimore. Okay. And Lord Laramie saying small town underground. Yeah, it's tiny out there. Way out. Appalachian Assassin. Yep. He's out there way in the sticks. The stop signs don't even say stop. They say, whoa. That's how far out you are, bro. Way out. Way out. Way out. Yeah, Jay's like 2 hours from Pittsburgh. Yep. Yeah, of course. Of course. You just drive up, what, 79 at that point? You're there in 2 hours. Easy. 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 But if you gotta fly out to where you are, it's probably easier to fly into Pittsburgh and drive down. Jay Gray saying, before COVID, we had a nice dubstep and D&B monthly kicking. Oh, I'm sure you all did. Way out west in Frostburg State. A lot of mountain kids out there. Like to go skiing, like to go snowshoeing, and they like their dubstep. Who knows? Once we start playing shows again, if we have shows again, you never know. I might come out there and rinse it out for 90 minutes or 2 hours. Power mix it. Steven's saying, whoa, you already know what it is, Steve. You know how it gets down. You know it's good. But yeah, I just had a few thoughts about yesterday's inauguration. Much like a lot of people, I am happy that Trump is no longer in office. Great. Thumbs up. He's out. Peace. Gotta go. He's good. We're gone. And I have no idea who invited Garth Brooks. I didn't know he was still singing. No idea. After Jay saying big up, much love. One love to you, brother. Good to see you. But yeah, I had no idea Garth Brooks was still relevant, that he was still singing. In fact, I didn't even know he was still alive. I thought Garth Brooks was done with music by about maybe the early 2000s. I thought he was done with music 20 years ago. But he's aged relatively well. I was pleasantly surprised to see him. J-Lo, man, she's J-Lo. I mean, Jenny from the Block doesn't get old. Mm-hmm. Look, some people age like wine, others age like milk. All right? And we've seen some people on that stage yesterday that age like milk, and others age like wine. And hey, Joe Biden gave a unity speech. We're going to fight for the soul of the nation. We're going to build back better. I'm all good for that. Steven's saying, you got them 2021 Garth Brooks dub plates. Look, no. I got those Kenny Rogers exclusives, though. Rest in peace, Kenny Rogers. I got those Kenny Rogers exclusives. And there's Dolly Parton specials. Hold tight. Hold tight for those. Yeah, but, I'm all for unity speeches. I'm all for bringing the country together. I'm all for that. What I didn't hear yesterday from Joe Biden is how he's going to do it. How is he going to do it? How is he going to fight for the soul of the nation? How is he going to end racial injustice? How is he going to build back better? How is he going to do that? How? I didn't hear that yesterday. And again, I have no problem with presidents giving unity speeches. But if you're going to give a unity speech, you need to have some substance behind it. If you're going to give a unity speech, you need to be a person that has a history of unity rather than division. And many of these issues that we have in the United States right now can be directly or somewhat indirectly tied to Joe Biden. And we know what these are. We know about the crime bill. We know about the crack bill. We know about the RAVE Act. I mean, what else do you need to know? We know about the Counterterrorism Act of 1995, which eventually became the Patriot Act. He said no to Medicare for all. He said no to, he was part of the people crew that signed the bill to make sure that student loans and medical bills could not be discharged by bankruptcy. So many of the social problems that now, after he is no longer a senator nor a vice president, he wants to go ahead and say unity. Unity. I have no problem with people I have no problem with a unity speech. I have a problem with him being the person delivering that speech, because he should not be the person empowered to deliver that speech. And there's a whole lot of people that are on that stage yesterday that have no business being on that stage. Why? Because they're old. I have no problem with old people. I have a problem with old people who are out of touch with everyday working Americans. That is what I have a problem with. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with a 78-year-old man that talks condescendingly to a room of Black people. I have a problem with his predecessor from 20 years ago that lied us into wars in the Middle East. When his Joint Chief of Staff, Colin Powell, said, yep, there's weapons of mass destruction, but then they found out, we actually don't have weapons of mass destruction. I got a problem with that too. I got a problem when the Black guy with the Muslim name comes out and says, hey, hope change, yes, we can, and we end up with more of the same. And then he gives speeches to Wall Street for $750,000 a piece. And he now lives on a 46-acre estate in Martha's Vineyard. And he has written 3 autobiographies. And there is a 4th on the way. I have a problem with that. So again, I have no problem with unity speeches. I have a problem with the person giving the unity speeches, because the person who is giving the unity speech is part of the reason why the United States is a dumpster fire. And the person who started the dumpster fire should not be given credit for trying to put that fire out, if he is capable of doing so, which I do not think he is. Steve Eccentric saying Dolly. Yep. Look, I'm telling you, I got those Dolly specials. Y'all don't know. Deep Sound saying that would be nice, of course. Main man Jake Zero. Jake saying Biden says coups are fine now. Recognizing Guaido as the president of Venezuela. And by the way, I don't know if you remember this, but I'm fairly certain I did an episode about this. I did a conversation about this where I spoke about the latest spending bill, the $2.2 trillion spending bill, $2.1 trillion spending bill. Of that $2.1 trillion, $900 billion is the new stimulus package, where everybody got $600 checks and $300 extra unemployment per week on top of your state benefits for the next 10 or 11 weeks. In that spending bill was $33 million to Venezuela. And I forget the exact phraseology, but it said something along the lines of bringing democracy to Venezuela. Translation, military coup, which is exactly what Jake is speaking about right here in the link to that article there. So, and again, if you want to learn more about Biden's cabinet, Cat Wells and I did an entire episode on that. We started recording about 48 hours ago, and it's up. It's available. You can watch it. We talked about the entire, not even the entire cabinet. We talked about a dozen or so of his cabinet members. A dozen or so of his cabinet members. That's the phrase, democracy funding. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate that. That is actually in the bill, democracy funding. It's on page, I don't know, 2600 of the bill. You don't have to look hard for it though. Just Control F or Command F if you're on a Mac. Type in Venezuela. The name will probably pop up about 40 or 50 times, and you'll see the entire section. And it says there $33 million. But yeah, we talked about a lot of people in Biden's cabinet yesterday. There's, yesterday, Avril Haines was appointed the director of national security. And she's got a sordid history. You can watch that part of the video. Yeah, this cabinet, I'm sorry, director of national intelligence, not national security. This cabinet, and again, I've said before and I'll say it again, this cabinet is going to end up being worse than everything Trump put together. Everything. Because these people are Washington establishment hacks, and they know how Washington, D.C. politics works. So all the nefarious stuff that Trump wanted to do but didn't really know how to get it done because he hired a bunch of imbeciles to be a part of his cabinet, Biden didn't do that. Biden brought in a bunch of people who were holdovers from, at minimum, the Obama administration. And some of these people worked as aides to Hillary Clinton or worked directly with Bill Clinton. Next 4 years are going to be a mess, especially in the last two, if the Democrats don't get this country back on track within the next 100 days, and I don't see them doing that, if they don't get this country back in the next 100 days on a proper track, the Democrats are going to lose representation in the House of Representatives in 2022. They have a slim majority there now. They'll lose it in the House, and if they lose the Senate, it's a wrap. Nefes saying, big up from Istanbul, mate. Let me try that again. Big up from Istanbul, mate. Love you. Seviyorum. Love you too, brother. I know a little bit of Turkish, and I know Seviyorum is Turkish for love you. So it's amazing what happens when you travel a little bit. You pick up on languages. You get some good food in Istanbul. The harissa there is awesome. Y'all know what it is. Jake saying, same neoliberal shit, different face. Yep. Same neoliberal shit, man. For real. That's what it is. Only this time it's worse because you now have a bunch of, you now ticked off a bunch of identity politics boxes. So now the reason why plenty of black people and some white people had difficulty criticizing Obama is simply because he was black. So now when you have a black face in Lloyd Austin that's going to go ahead and bomb a bunch of brown people in the Middle East, okay, will the criticism be levied? Will you even want to criticize? Because wait a minute, come on. Because if you criticize a black person that Browns bomb people, you're all of a sudden a racist. Nope, you're being honest. Shouldn't be bombing anybody, regardless if it was a white Secretary of Defense or a black Secretary of Defense, regardless if it's a white president or a black president. Shouldn't be bombing anybody. Leave people alone. Let people live their lives. Stay out of people's business. Stay out of people's business. Neil saying, Steven said, terrific, Eric can make for you, LOL. I have no idea what that means. Jake saying, truly weaponizing identity politics. Yep. Let's go ahead. So Pete Buttigieg is now the Secretary of Transportation. Pete Buttigieg is openly gay. So if Pete Buttigieg all of a sudden doesn't figure out how to make sure we get high-speed rail going through the northeastern megalopolis, or high-speed rail going from San Francisco to Los Angeles and then Los Angeles to San Diego, is all of a sudden his inability, are we going to be able to criticize him and keep his sexual orientation out of it? Or because we are going to be critical of him, all of a sudden his sexual orientation is going to be brought up, and now we're going to be incapable of criticizing him because he has a male partner. I'm telling you, this shit is sneaky. Adelord asking a question saying, any chance of Department of Homeland Security being focused on white supremacy, especially in law enforcement? That's a wonderful question. That is a wonderful question. And the head of the Department of Homeland Security, oh, who has that job now? That's not Tony Blinken. Tony Blinken's Secretary of State. I have it here somewhere. I can't remember who. My memory's terrible. Samantha Powers, U.S. Aid, Secretary of Defense. Homeland Security is, I remember. Homeland Security is the Latino brother. It's Alejandro Mayorkas, who I think was the mayor of Albuquerque or something. I can't remember. But yeah, Alejandro Mayorkas. So you're saying any chance of Department of Homeland Security being focused on white supremacy? I would think it should be. You would think it would be. But when was the last time we actually had a Department of Homeland Security actually focused on white supremacist groups? Take a look at how many white supremacist groups stormed Washington, D.C. 15 days ago. And in many instances, Homeland Security, the CIA, and the FBI knew about this insurrection and did not much to stop it. In addition to Department of Homeland Security being focused on white supremacy, you would think that not in the previous administration under Trump, but in the administration before that under Obama, we had a black head of Homeland Security, and Jay Johnson. And there were plenty of white supremacist attacks on a lot of different places during the Obama administration. So even if you put a black face on a high place that tries to stop white supremacy, how effective is that? Steven saying, already called out for criticizing the VP. Oh boy. And you know what? I had someone message me about this the other day. And there's a part of me that was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I could see this happening. It's strange, but it could happen. There's a pathway for an individual to become president of the United States for 10 years. That could entirely happen. Because the Constitution says that you can't be president for more than 10 years. But how do you do that with only being elected for 2 4-year terms? You have to take over for somebody else's presidential term. There is no way in hell Joe Biden lasts all 4 years in the in the White House. I don't see it. So what I could completely see happening in a couple of years, is Kamala Harris taking over in a couple of years. Then at that point, she becomes the obvious and presumptive Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States. And then it's going to be the black and South Asian woman versus whatever white guy they're going to try to put up on the Republican side. We'll see what happens. And I don't know if the Democrats roll out Kamala Harris for the presidency of the United States in 2024, I don't think she wins. And I don't think she wins regardless of who the Republicans put up. That is up to and including Trump if Trump decides to run again. And I'll tell you right now, if Trump decides to run again, regardless of him being impeached twice, I still think there's a segment of this population that will vote for him over Kamala Harris. Jake saying, I think generally speaking, people have caught wise to those kind of moves, though. I would like to hope so. We'll see. We'll see also. And the Lord say, never in department history, young department. Yeah, it's a young group of people. Steven saying, is he older than Bush Sr. when he got elected? Joe Biden is the oldest president in United States history. The oldest. And if Bernie Sanders had been elected president, he would have been the oldest. And if Donald Trump had been reelected, I think Donald Trump would have been the oldest. Because Donald Trump, I think, would have been, he's 72 or 73 now. So he would have been the oldest. And therein lies the problem. Therein lies the problem. We have people that were born in the 40s and late 30s who are president of this country. Sure, we have an aging population, but they're not all octogenarians or close to it. Jake saying, to be honest, I could see Biden lasting 4 years. I mean, Chris Christie had COVID and that fat dude pulled through. He was a former governor of New Jersey. Yeah, Chris Christie is also in his early 50s. Biden's pushing 80. Sure, Chris Christie had COVID and he has some weight issues. But I think Chris Christie also had that stomach stapling surgery not too long ago. So I think he did lose a few pounds. But even still, Chris Christie doesn't have signs of obvious mental decline when you see him speak on television. Biden slurs his words. He forgets stuff. We'll see. Tanner Pennington saying, hey, Joe, what's going on, brother? What's good? What's good? But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I just want to check in with everybody, see how everybody's doing, seeing if everybody's all right. Logan saying, a little upset with Biden in office now. So am I. Being in Canada and him stopping the Keystone Pipeline project, I think really hurts both parties. I'm all for environmental issues, but I'm also about the economy. I'm upset with Biden also because I just don't like his history of racism, misogyny, sexism, and xenophobia. I don't like any of that. But I will give him credit where credit is due. Stopping the Keystone Pipeline is a good idea. It's a good idea. And Logan, it seems interesting to say that you're all for environmental issues, but also about the economy. You can be about environmental issues and be about the economy. And a great way to do that is having a Green New Deal. There's plenty of natural resources in Canada where you could be using natural resources as an economic viability, as a way for economic viability. There's plenty of wind. A bunch of wind farms would be really useful. There's plenty of sun. A bunch of solar farms would be useful. I mean, let's take for instance the oh gosh, I forget the name of the indigenous people in British Columbia, and the Kinder Morgan pipeline, where Kinder Morgan has said, "Oh yeah, I see you, First Nations Canadians, get out of the way. We're building this pipeline right through your unceded land. We're going to take it from you." That doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. That doesn't seem right. Look how much clear cutting of trees takes place in Canada. And I've been to some parts of Canada where you're driving on some of these roads where it's nothing but trees. Nothing but trees. So, I mean, I understand about the economy, especially in places like Alberta, where Alberta, especially Calgary, is highly dependent on oil. I mean, let's not forget the entire province of Alberta, the two major hockey teams, one's called the Edmonton Oilers, the other are called the Calgary Flames. So that's obvious references to oil. If you drive outside of Edmonton, you leave, let's say, the West Edmonton Mall, and you drive 20 minutes outside of Edmonton, headed south towards Calgary, you will see nothing but really big houses that were obviously built with oil money. You drive a little bit past those big houses, and it's oil derricks. Then after that, it's flat land for about 2, maybe 2.5 hours. Then you kind of come in, you get sort of close to Mount Royal University, and then you're in downtown Calgary. Go a little further south, you're in Airdrie. A little further south after that, for about an hour or two, you're in Banff. Then you're in Montana at that point. I think you're in Montana. So yeah. Tanner saying, I'm curious to see the policies that Biden and Kamala have concerning police and their abuse of power. See it as how they both have amounts of respect for the officers of the law. They definitely have huge amounts of respect for the officers of the law. I just posted a video on my Instagram about Joe Biden giving a speech about the crime bill back in November of 1993. And the crime bill was signed in 1994, where he talks about how he and Bill Clinton had phone conversations, several phone conversations, and Biden didn't speak with the Attorney General. Biden spoke directly with Bill Clinton, and he was like, "Yo," Bill Clinton was like, "Yo, Joe, how come you're not working hard enough on getting me these cops? I want 100,000 cops added to this bill. What's good? Let's go." So, and then Joe Biden talked about how he has the support of 6 major police unions that signed onto that crime bill. And then Kamala Harris was California's top cop, and then locked up a whole lot of black and brown people for minor drug offenses, and then kept them in jail for longer than their sentences were prescribed. And then when the wildfires hit, she paid them $1.45 per day to fight wildfires. And then when her investigators found out that there was gross misconduct by Steven Mnuchin, who was president of One West Bank, the largest bank in Southern California. Actually, the second largest bank in Southern California at the time. And then Steve Mnuchin was known as the foreclosure king. And then when the banks got too big and Barack Obama kicked out a whole bunch of people out of their houses to pay for the bank bailouts, banks like One West Bank not only got money from the stimulus and made money on that, but they also made money on the sale of those foreclosed homes. And the guy that oversaw all of that was a guy named Timothy Geithner. And he was in charge of what's called TARP, the Troubled Asset Relief Fund, if I'm not mistaken. Or TARP. No, Troubled Asset Recovery Program. He was in charge of that whole bank bailout and figuring out who gets what money and where they get it. I hope they do something about the abuse of power of police officers. So do I. And this abuse of power is not just a situation in the United States, but the RCMP in Canada gets loose too. Trust me on that. They get loose. You just don't hear about it as much in Canada because Canada has 1/11 or 1/12 the population of the United States. California has more people than Canada. Sonny Jasper saying it should have been a world designed by Tesla. Yeah, but do you want Elon Musk making more money? Same with French police. Oh, God, my goodness. Yeah, I mean, I watch more than my share of France 24. And let's not forget, little more than a month ago, the situation with Michel Zecler, the French rapper who was beaten up by police because he forgot his mask. And then the police charged him with assault. But then when the videotape came out, it was like, oh yeah, these French were liars. These French police were liars. They were liars. And then Emmanuel Macron said, hey, you know what? We're going to get a law where he's saying that you, civilian, cannot film the police because it will potentially put them in harm's way. Boogie Down Productions said this years ago. The police are supposed to protect us, but who protects us from you? And that applies right here with the French police. Who protects the French people from the French police? Let's not forget the situation with Cedric Chouvet, who was choked out by this man of Algerian descent, who was choked out by police with a chokehold. His last words were "Je suffoque," I can't breathe. No different than what Eric Garner said, no different than what George Floyd said. I can't breathe. So the French police are just as much bastards as they are in the United States and in Canada. And in Colombia, with Javier Ordóñez, same situation. Steve saying, barely held on to my house at the time. We were hoping for relief and it never came. Yep. There are people who not only lost their homes, but they lost the equity in their homes. It's one thing if you just lose the structure. It's like, okay, all right, I lost the house, but I still at least got $90,000, $100,000 of equity in the home. I can still do some things with it. But people lost equity and the structure. What do you do at that point? Sonny Jasper saying, I meant Nikola Tesla. Oh, that would have been awesome. And by the way, if you ever go to Buffalo, New York, go to Niagara Falls, there is a massive statue of Nikola Tesla at Niagara Falls on the American side. It's a huge statue devoted to him because let's not forget, Nikola Tesla created hydroelectric power, which seems to work rather well. The power coil would have been amazing. Yeah. Thomas Edison really screwed up this country because if Nikola Tesla had his way, there's a really good chance we might not need a new Green New Deal now, because so many of our power issues would have been solved by Nikola Tesla's brilliance and innovation. If Nikola Tesla was really allowed to do the things he really wanted to do you think we'd have overhead power lines? Do you think our power would go out because of a natural disaster? Do you think we'd have an aging power grid? Think about how technology has dramatically improved over the past 20 years or 30 years. And we had this technology at the turn of last century. And a bunch of greedy people were like, no, we can't make money off that, so everybody else can't have it. Do you think we would be dependent upon Middle Eastern oil if Nikola Tesla had his way? Probably not, because he would have probably figured out a way to make a car run on run on water. Just put water in your tank, keep it moving. And think about the butterfly effect of having your car work with just water, where you don't need a gas station. Guess what we wouldn't need? We wouldn't need big oil. The big oil industry would be useless. We wouldn't be having proxy wars in the Middle East to steal oil and other gas resources. We wouldn't be trying to have a coup in Venezuela and installing Juan Guaido to try to take their oil from Venezuela. We wouldn't be trying to do all that because we got water. Just pull up to the Mississippi River, stop by the Chesapeake Bay, fill up wherever. Oh, I got a swimming pool in my backyard. Oh, I got a creek in the backyard. Fill up, go. And imagine off water you can get if you could get 300 miles a gallon. Again, if Nikola Tesla was really allowed to do some of the stuff that he had already proposed to do, there's a really good chance that Biden would not have signed the paperwork to get back into the Paris Accord, because you wouldn't have needed it. You wouldn't have needed it. For what? Why are we worried about trying to save the environment when there wouldn't be this ecological disaster in the first place if Nikola Tesla was actually allowed to do what he could have done? But when you have greedy oligarchs like the Rockefellers that want to control all the oil and the Carnegies, and they're more concerned about their pocketbooks instead of the environment, different story. Jake saying, French police force during the time were collaborators with the Gestapo in Vichy, France, when that massacre happened. You were talking about the 1961 Paris massacre, obviously. And there it is. DJ Deep Sound saying, real talk. Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, could you imagine if we had gone back to, let's say, 1880, maybe 1880, Nikola Tesla was allowed to get loose the way he was what he was doing. What? Come on. And for everything that George Washington Carver did with peanuts, could you imagine if he actually had the financial resources to really do some stuff with peanuts? And he found 300 different ways to do stuff with peanuts. You think he couldn't have done something with pistachio shells? I'm surprised nobody's thought to do something with those. And I know I probably have $1 trillion idea that I just gave some scientist who's working at some pharmaceutical company right now. Hey, I can make vegan chicken out of pistachio shells. Or I could take the pistachio shells and make a fuel source out of it. If you do that, just give me my cut, because I know you all didn't think of it, because it's the kind of shit I think about. Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, so much stuff would have been different if people weren't greedy. So much stuff would have been different. Then again, if people weren't greedy, Native Americans wouldn't have been killed off by white folks hundreds of years ago. If people weren't greedy, black people wouldn't have been enslaved in North America. I keep saying racism is a function of economics. I've been saying this for a long time. Racism is a function of economics. I'm starting to realize now more than ever, given some of the comments that I've been receiving privately, and people saying, "Hey, Joe, you know what? Thanks for sharing this information, so forth and so on." I'm realizing that I've got to take maybe a different way of doing things. Not necessarily. Most people are saying, "Joe, you're being divisive. You're being divisive," and I didn't know calling out racism was being divisive. I didn't know that was divisive. I didn't know that was divisive. But I think what I'm going to do more of is engage with people who say that my calling out racism is divisive. Because if I go ahead and I engage with those people, there's a very good chance that I'll be able to find out why they feel my calling out racism is quote unquote divisive. Then maybe we can get to the root of the problem. And then maybe we could figure some shit out. And that is what unity looks like. There are plenty of people who I disagree with politically. I disagree with their politics, but I don't disagree with them as human beings and as people. And fundamentally, the people who I generally the people who I disagree with politically, deep down are good human beings and good people. We just have a difference in politics. And fundamentally, what they want and what I want usually ends up being the same stuff. Same objectives. It's just they have a different way of going about it than I do. But fundamentally, we want the same stuff. Now, if you're just racist, then that's a different story. But if you have a certain political belief, I'm going to try to get away from just assuming that you are automatically racist because you have a certain political leaning. Because again, there's been, and I'm probably guilty of this at times, there's been this demonization of people who do not believe or share the same political viewpoint as you. That's wrong. That's not right. That's not right. And I think finding out the differences is important, but also seeing where there is common ground is also important. And I think the more we try to figure out the common ground more than the differences, and we build consensus on the agreements, and we work to resolve our differences, I think that is how we're going to move this country forward. And that is what I did not hear yesterday from Joe Biden. I heard platitudes. I heard platitudes. I heard empty promises. To borrow a phrase from Arabic, I heard kalam fadi, which is a phrase that means empty talk. That is what I heard. I heard a whole lot of empty talk. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. You find people who you disagree with. You build some sort of consensus. You then figure out a way to mainstream that consensus. And then you execute that consensus with some sort of policy. I'm going to say that again because some people might be like, what? I'm going to say it again. The best way, in my opinion, to move this country forward, we as individuals find people that we disagree with. Or, better yet, find people we don't speak to, or outside of our bubble, or our social networks. Find people we don't even normally talk to. Find them. They're around, because there's plenty of disagreement around. Figure out what you agree on and what you don't agree with. And I'll be willing to bet you that, and again, what happened 2 weeks ago was crazy. But I'll be willing to bet you a whole bunch of those people who didn't storm the building, but that were just there because they were lied to 12 years ago when Obama said, "Hope, change, yes, we can." And then they voted for Trump because they didn't want more of Obama, and then Trump lied to them also. A lot of them were just like, you know what? Who do I believe in? Who do I trust? Who do I turn to? And I guarantee you, there's a whole lot of those people that were in that crowd, not the ones that necessarily stormed the building, but a whole lot of people in the crowd that have a whole lot in common with Black Lives Matter protesters. Because Black people in the United States have been lied to for over 400 years. Yep, we're going to go ahead and take care of you. Yep, 40 acres and a mule. Never happened. Yep, we're going to go ahead and make sure you get all the proper treatment. Tuskegee experiment. Yep, we're going to make sure you get the same legal rights and treatment as other people. Really? Okay. Then explain Jim Crow. Explain convict leasing. Explain redlining and blockbusting. We had to have an amendment to make sure that Black folks get equal protection under the law. It's 14th Amendment to the United States. Figure out what we all can agree on. Let's push the politics aside. And I'm going to say that closely, push the politics aside. Politics. Figure out what we all agree on. Make whatever that thing we all agree on popular. Hey, this group of libertarians wants healthcare. You know what? This group of conservative Republicans that voted for Trump, you know what? They're for Medicare for all too. Well, hey, so are these progressives in the House and the Senate. And a bunch of these young people, they want Medicare for all too. So, let's all push for it. Let's all fight for it. But too often politics gets in the way. Identity politics gets in the way. And the cult of political party clouds people's judgment. And then you execute that consensus or that widespread agreement with some sort of policy. And quite honestly, the mainstream ideas that people from the left and people from the right can agree on shouldn't have to be argued politically in the first place, because they should never be left issues or right issues. Because in many instances, the stuff that we're talking about are human rights issues. And human rights should not be dependent upon political party. Because when I was born almost 45 years ago, I didn't come out of my mother saying, "Yay, I'm an independent." I didn't say that. And there's a whole lot of people that came out of their mothers years ago that said, they didn't come out and say, "Yo, I'm a Republican. Yippee." Mm-mm. Came out as a human being first. And then you learned what political ideologies fit your beliefs. But no one is born understanding which political party they belong to. People were born as human beings. And the stuff that we are arguing about politically is stuff that should never be politicized. You shouldn't need legislation to prove that a group of people are actually human beings. You shouldn't need to legislate to determine if everybody should have health care, or if everybody should be able to have a labor union, or if everybody should have housing, or if everybody should have a job, or if every country should have appropriate social systems that take care of their people. These shouldn't be political issues. You should have them simply on the basis of being a human being. One more time. Find people you don't agree with, or find people you don't normally speak with. Figure out what you agree on, figure out what you don't agree on. Make the stuff that you agree on popular, and build consensus around what you both agree on. Execute what you agree on with policy. That is what unity looks like. That's all I wanted to say for today. I want to thank each and every one of you for participating. I had a lively crew today, and there's more in store. You're going to see a lot more of me at a lot more places in the forthcoming days and or weeks. A couple of roundtable discussions that I will be a part of, a couple of YouTube hosts that I will be participating with and engaging with, a couple of feature-length interviews and blogs, and a couple of online forums and magazines that I will be a part of. I'm not slicing and dicing on the decks right now, but I'm still slicing and dicing. I know how to do that. All y'all know that. And in time, I'll be back to pushing the dubs, but maybe pushing a lot more of this too. Deep Sound saying, "Salute, Joe." Out to you, brother. I'm going to salute with both hands. Left arm, right arm. That's how we do it. Sonny Jasper saying, "Thanks, Joe. Love your words." Thank you, Sonny. I appreciate you. Love back. Deep Sound saying, "Lots of Joe around these parts." Of course. Slice of nice. Ha ha! Woo! You know what it is. Max saying, "Appreciate the message. Stay deep. Always." Dubs and words. You know what it is. Exclusives. British passport now. Yep, I got that too. Working on the Trinidad one now also, brother. I'm working on it. I'm trying to have that done by my birthday, which is in about 2 months. citizenship in 3 countries, 3 passports. The Black Austin Powers, man. What are you talking about? James Bond. 00 Nice. Shit, I could be James Bond, no question. James Bond was an Englishman. I was born in England. I'm a citizen. But I don't drink martinis. I'll have a smoothie. In a Vitamix, not shaken or stirred. I'm not about drinks with olives in them. I'm not about drinks with kale and celery. That's what I'm about. Y'all know what it is. Anyways, all the best. Take care. Peace and love to all. And again, unity. I'm going to try to continue to push that message. Talk to people we disagree with or don't talk to that often. Figure out what you agree upon. Make the agreements or the stuff you agree on more popular. Execute that thing you agree on via policy. My time's up. Thank you for sharing your time with me. And I appreciate the opportunity to share this space with all of you. Peace.